is quite old, and we had to baby him so he could keep up with us. But I remember hiking around with his dog when he lived in Washington, which was like, maybe 7 years ago or something. I climbed up to this point. You can see down there, there's like someone standing. There's just a lot to explore. All of these rocks sort of form a canyon, or multiple canyons that you could explore. You can see most people just kind of stop up at the top there, but there are trails that go through the canyons and the rocks. And you walk around on the rocks themselves. It looked like there were some spots that we saw where there was like chalk on the walls. Look at that. It's crazy. This looks like it's from the Flintstones movie set. All the big red round rocks. One thing that amazed me mostly just like taking in this natural beauty. Look at this little area here. It's like um, clearly, I think this has been like carved out by water, in my opinion. My friend was telling me that he likes to come to this area, take photos of big people, and see what they do with these like carved out water dents. um, I'm noticing as I look at the footage, it kind of shifts. I think maybe I have it set on auto white balance, and so the color will like shift a little bit. Um, I'll fix that in future videos, but I do have quite a bit of footage built up. Gosh, look at Porter. He's just so cute. Just tromping around on the rocks. Little soldier. We did go a good ways up this creek bed. There were areas where the red sand had turned into like a red mud. This camera it doesn't do justice for the color of the red, and it's hard for me to tell if this was like genuinely this red or if this is maybe something that the camera's doing. But I remember specifically the mud was a um, brilliant like rusty red color. You can see the water kind of pitter-pattering, little water drops falling in the puddles there. I believe that this version of Red Rocks that I was fortunate to walk around in is uncommon. I don't think it rains here very often. Like I said, I think I brought the rain with me from Seattle. And there were waterfalls in these rocks that we were able to see, but, you know, normally would not be there. But I do think we walked a good ways up this, like, dried up riverbed area. There's one point, I can't remember if it's in this video or not, but we kind of go up the rocks, and you can't see it. There are occasionally little cacti. I don't think that's what this is. Oh yeah, there's some, not quite a cacti, but like, maybe it is a cactus. I don't know. It's very pokey grass. What it looks like to me is like angry aloe vera. But he took me to one spot where there was like a giant, like barrel-shaped, sort of traditional-looking cactus, and I got very excited. I'm easily excited, and I like it that way. I prefer to be excited by simple, boring, mundane things. Not that that's what this is. But I don't know. I feel like maybe some people may not get very excited about encountering a cactus in the desert. But where I am is usually such a water-filled oasis that this was a very novel which is a good bit desaturated. Still kind of learning the camera here. I mixed up my D-log footage with normal, like color space footage. This is cool. This is kind of like the sea caves that I get to explore on the Oregon beaches, but this was like, at Red Rocks. Look at that, like, green valley. I just want to walk up there and explore it. I'm sure people do. Like I was saying earlier, I saw spots where there was like chalk from like climbers' chalk on the walls. So I'm pretty sure this is a popular area to rock climb. What was all the rocks? I would be a little worried about climbing here because of the softness of the stone, especially when it's wet. I think when it's wet, this kind of stone is like even more, I don't know, brittle. Brittle may be the right word, or like soft. I feel like brittle implies like a hard flakiness, and soft, is something else. This is crazy. It almost looks color graded. Like I've taken out all of the colors except for red and green. And that's it. But I didn't do that. These are just the colors that are available. And the green, I think, is a not a normal color. I think usually this is like red and brown. The plants are probably brown when they don't have water coming in. You can see there, that's like a dried up riverbed. But these were the areas that I was kind of like, I don't know, man. If we get like a quick, like sudden heavy downpour, I don't want to be there. I would go up that hillside. But you do have to be careful because you can't really see it in this video, but there are like little cactuses and all that. This is driving down outside of the rocks. This is kind of like the whole area. It's real pretty. I expected Vegas to be very flat. I was not expecting like a mountain range. And you can kind of see it, but one of the mountains there had snow. Yeah, right there, that mountain's got snow on it, up at the higher elevations. And we took this, I don't know, side road or whatever, and we got up there and it was snowing, which, is another thing I didn't expect. Now I understand deserts those adventure vans got stuck in front of us, and we decided to turn around. We were also in a creek bed at that point. At the where this road becomes paved again, we pulled over. There was a waterfall. We saw it from the road. It's, not common to see a waterfall in this area, but I don't know. Well, my friend, he made it seem like it was rare, but he had also never been to this specific area, so it's hard to say if it's a normal occurrence in that spot or not. To me, it looked like that whole area was, uh, built for water. So we stopped there. We spent a great bit of time there, just kind of taking in its beauty. And while we were there, he was shocked about finding a waterfall in the desert, and it started snowing. So just like a bizarre, or maybe not a bizarre, it was a nice, fortunate combination of circumstances that may be unusual in this area. The road gets a little better here, so we're able to pick up some speed, but off to the right, we pull over and we go on a short hike. I think, I don't even know if I would say it was like a quarter of a mile. And I thought I had recorded it, but I guess I turned it on for a moment right before the hike, and then immediately stopped it. So I missed out on a nice little hike to the waterfall. Man, I remember I had the camera stuck out the window, and it was quite cold. My hands were hurting, but I did it for the footy. This is the waterfall that I was talking about. You can see, like, there's a lot more of this, like, this area wasn't so red. It was more like yellow, but the shape of the rocks was about the same. I'm gonna take a sip of my tea because I'm getting dry mouth. Not for the reasons you may think. I actually don't do any of that, even though it's legal here. This waterfall was awesome. I don't know, I kept going to different areas and I would get like a different view of how neat this little spot was, and so I got more footage than I really needed to get of this one little area, but you'll get to see it from many angles. Look at that little pool of water down there. It's kind of yellow, but I don't know. I kind of wanted it, if it wasn't super cold, I would just go down there and kind of soak in that pool right by the waterfall. I really wanted to stand under the waterfall, because the waterfalls that we have here in Washington are super epic. does acrobatics, so it's interesting. When you go places with him, he'll just like randomly be doing handstands on stuff, and I don't know. I like it because I'm always like filming or taking pictures, and so it's interesting. You know, it's different, and different things are nice to capture. In the background there, you can see there's another couple. They were checking out the waterfall with us. They seem pretty cool. I think they said they were from Ohio. Got lots of slow motion video of this waterfall. You can see the drops dropping, dripping on the side there. The snowflakes. It was snowing at this time as well, but you can't really see. You couldn't see them until you looked out. Um, until you looked out, and then, but with the camera, it's all overexposed and gray, so the the flakes just disappear in the footage. So I think this might be sort of the end of the Red Rocks footage. This peaceful waterfall scene here. The last thing I did when I was in Las Vegas is I went to Area 15, and I didn't get the best like walkthrough footage. So what you're about to see is kind of a bunch of different clips just stitched together. Um, I'll be going to Denver. I just found out in October or September, one or the other. And so I'll go to Meow Denver, and I'll do like a solid walkthrough. Oh, look, I guess we got one more slow motion waterfall from a different angle here. You can kind of see how epic it is. It's like a little water slide. Not the best landing though, that would hurt. But yeah, I went to Area 15. Area 15 is, there are a few immersive art exhibits there. I did a couple of them, but my favorite was Meow Wolf. It's Omega Mart, and you know, when you go in, at first it just looks like a store, but you look around and they have like, I don't know, odd products, like a cereal box that says like Simply Spiders, or there's a bunch of drinks, and one of them is like a can and it says like ginger fluid. So it's, yeah, and you can, there's like a drink cooler. Actually, there's several entrances to this extra area in the back behind the store where all this like crazy trippy stuff is. This room was really interesting. It had mirrors everywhere, and so it looked like you were in an infinite universe with these like big head beings. That hallway was neat, and there was a door to like a special room, but I'm gonna skip that room because really all it did was like strobe that you can see in there. It's like strobing, and when it flashes, it takes a picture of the entire room, and then it puts it on all of the walls. And then it's a bit disorienting, honestly. this place like invites you to be curious and move around in ways that you wouldn't normally. There are people coming out, but under normal circumstances, you would enter this room and you would see the lockers, and then there's just like stuff coming out of one of them, and it's not locked, so you can open it, and there's a door handle in there, and so you can open the lockers, and then it takes you to like a whole nother room. Um, there are a couple places like this. This tent was in a display in the store, which normally, you would assume that it's something you're not supposed to go into, but at Omega Mart, you go in and then you find this tunnel. And so you can crawl through the tunnel and you come out the other side, and you can't see it very well in this footage, but it's like kind of like those rocks in the videos that you just watched. Just kind of like a big cave made out of like sandstone, and there is like a pattern projecting on the wall. It's like the night sky, and to me it reminded me of a place in Alabama where you can go called Dismal's Canyon, and you go there at night, and there are like little glow-in-the-dark creatures that crawl in the moss. It's really pretty. This was another area. You go into this little cabin, and you like crawl through the fireplace, and then there's like a tunnel that takes you upstairs, and the door on the other side is also not obvious. And so when I open the door, people look at me and they're like confused. They're like, "Whoa, where'd you come from?" I'm trying to think. There was another one. It was kind of like a lab, with like lots of, or like a library, like a weird library kind of thing. You can see this is a multi-story building, and the lines that are going down are actually camera artifact from the frame rate of my camera not syncing up with the frame rate of the projectors. This wall area leads out to the shop, or it's an entrance to the shop. This is another like sneaky way where as you get back, like things get a little weirder. So there's like eyeballs and fingers in the flowers in the plant wall. There were a lot of like odd noises, being played overhead as well. This is what I was talking about, that there's like these trippy visuals, and this isn't a flat screen, it's kind of the shape of those rocks. You can kind of get a sense, looking at this now, there's like an arch, just like very organic shapes that this 3D looking projection is on. There was one gentleman that was just like sitting on a rock watching these. We must have been in there for 2 hours exploring, finding different rooms and stuff, and he was there the whole time. I'm pretty sure that he had, an amplified experience, if you know what I mean. This was cool. There was like a story about all this, about like a race of beings that like lived in the area, and that was like their skeleton. And now you can see a different projection also there was an upstairs where you could do the same thing. I really liked this hallway and that one tunnel in the fireplace. I did that a couple of times. Um, those things were cool. They had buttons on them. When you push the buttons, they would make different sounds, and you could kind of try to like make music with them and stuff. You can see a bit more of like the whole area there, like all this stuff. You can interact with it, and I think if you interact with it long enough, um, you'll notice like patterns, and you'll get hints to like the game that you can kind of play as you journey through this area. Just got tunnels everywhere, flashing lights. This thing was cool. Like you sit down and it shows your image, and then it just like deconstructs you and like sends it into this face thing. There's kind of like a story, you know. They're telling you kind of what's happening when you're sitting down and looking at this thing. I think this whole thing is really neat. I just love immersive art experiences. I've loved them ever since my first one when I went to Team Lab Borderless in Tokyo. I went to Tokyo right before all the COVID stuff happened. I didn't realize it at the time, but I got an email from Scott's Cheap Flights, and it was like, you know, do you want to go to Tokyo for $400 round trip? This was